I always thought blood was thicker than water, until my brother bled me dry. We weren't just brothers. We were twins, born 3 minutes apart, me first, Jonah second. But somehow, he always made it seem like he was the older one, louder, flashier, the talker. Me? I was the quiet one. I listened more than I spoke. I played it safe. That was until the day I didn't. We lost our parents in a car crash 6 months after our 30th birthday. They left everything to us, split right down the middle. The house we grew up in, a chunk of savings, some rental property. Mom and Dad weren't wealthy, but they were smart. They planned well, enough to give us a start in life without spoiling us. The will said we had to agree on what to do with the house. Jonah wanted to sell. Said it was old, needed too many repairs, and didn't spark joy. He had Marie Kondo'd his way into minimalism and wanted out of the family memories. I, on the other hand, wanted to keep it. Maybe fix it up, rent it out, or even live in it someday. But Jonah had other plans. "Let's sell the house and invest in something better," he said, tossing his arm around me like we were 12 again. "You trust me, right?" Here's the thing. I did. So when he came up with a can't-miss investment plan, I caved. He convinced me to sign over my half of the inheritance house to him so he could manage the sale without all the legal mumbo-jumbo. Said he'd cut me a clean deal after the flip. In exchange, he'd get me in on a real estate investment with massive upside. I was a graphic designer freelancing out of coffee shops and half-furnished apartments. I wanted stability, roots, a foundation. I thought maybe for once I could be bold, maybe even rich. So I let him handle it, signed the papers, transferred my share. I still remember the click of the pen like a death knell. My gut clenched, but I ignored it. I didn't want to be the paranoid one, the doubter, the pessimist. Then he disappeared. No calls, no emails. Radio silence. At first, I told myself he was just busy, that he'd circle back when the deal was done. But a month went by, then 2, then 6. I hired a lawyer. Turns out the house was never flipped. He sold it outright, pocketed the cash, and skipped town. Apparently, he'd been living above his means for years. Debts, gambling. Even I didn't just feel betrayed. I felt stupid. Hollow. Like I'd sold not just my childhood home, but my parents' memory for a pipe dream. I spent weeks spiraling in my shoebox apartment, living off instant noodles and shame. I didn't have the heart to tell anyone, not even my girlfriend at the time. She left shortly after, citing my emotional unavailability. Fair. Then one day, while scrolling listings to numb the ache, I saw it. The house. Our house. My house. Listed again, this time in foreclosure. My heart stopped. I clicked through the photos, hands shaking. It was exactly as I remembered. Same brick path, same peeling shutters. But this time, it looked tired. Abandoned, as if it knew it didn't belong to us anymore. And that's when something inside me shifted. Jonah had taken everything. But he couldn't keep it. The bank was putting it up for auction. Starting bid was low, lower than I expected. A fire sale. I had no capital, no credit. But I had desperation, and oddly, one client who owed me months of back pay. I called him, hardballed him, threatened small claims court. He paid. I drained my savings, took out a high-interest loan, cashed in what little retirement I had. It was reckless. It was stupid. And it was worth it, because I bought it. I bought the house my brother couldn't afford to keep. The irony wasn't lost on me. I didn't tell anyone. I just showed up the day the keys were handed over, walked inside, and stood in the foyer we used to chase each other through with Nerf guns. I ran my hand across the old banister Dad had varnished himself. The memories hit like a flood. Warm, painful, unrelenting. But I wasn't there to mourn. I was there to build. I spent the next year fixing it up. I learned how to drywall, paint, tile. I watched YouTube videos late into the night. On weekends, I bartended to keep the lights on. Slowly, the house came back to life. And so did I. I didn't just restore the structure. I reinvented it. I turned it into a duplex, rented the top floor to a lovely retired couple from Vermont, moved into the bottom unit, used the rent to pay off my loan, even started a small side hustle flipping furniture and documenting the journey on Instagram. And then, one afternoon, I saw him, Jonah, standing across the street, wearing a crumpled coat, thinner than I'd ever seen him, eyes sunken like he hadn't slept in weeks. He looked at the house, then at me. I stepped out onto the porch. For a moment we just stared, then he walked up. "Didn't think you'd still be here," he said. "I never left," I replied. He looked down at his feet. "I messed up." "You think?" He winced. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm broke. I've been living out of my car." I waited. I wasn't going to make this easy. He sighed. "I was hoping I could stay. Just for a night. It's freezing." I looked at him. Really looked. He was my brother. My blood. But he'd gutted me. Sold out our family for a fantasy and left me for dead. And yet... "Come inside," I said. He stepped in slowly, shoulders hunched like a kicked dog. I offered him a meal. Let him shower. Gave him clean clothes. We sat in the living room, same spot we used to open Christmas presents. "Why?" he asked. "Because I'm not you," I said. He nodded. Later that night, while he slept on the couch, I locked my bedroom door. I didn't trust him. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But the house had taught me something. Sometimes the best revenge isn't burning bridges, it's owning them. I didn't plan on letting Jonah stay longer than a night. But one night turned into 3, then a week. He said all the right things. He was sorry. He wanted to make amends. He was working on himself. I wanted to believe him. Maybe some part of me still clung to the idea of brotherhood. Or maybe I just didn't want to admit I was still lonely. Either way, I let him stay. Gave him a list of house rules. Set boundaries. He nodded and agreed. But I'd lived with Jonah long enough to know when he was playing a part. I started noticing little things. Food went missing from the fridge. Mail got opened that wasn't his. He borrowed tools without asking, lost them, and then denied it. I'd hear him on the phone at night, whispering urgently. Once, I caught him snooping through my desk drawer. "I was looking for a charger," he said, all innocent eyes and wounded pride. That was a lie. I didn't even keep chargers in there. Then came the kicker. I got a knock on the door one Tuesday morning from a man in a suit. Slicked back hair, cheap cologne, real estate agent vibes. "Hi there," he said. "Is Jonah home?" He said this place was back on the market. I blinked. "Excuse me?" He double-checked the address. He said you were selling, that I should come by and take a look. I almost laughed. He doesn't own this house. I do. The guy's smile faltered. Oh, he made it sound like it was his. Yeah, he's good at that. I shut the door in his face and locked it. Jonah got back an hour later, whistling like he hadn't just tried to con me again. "Planning to sell the house I bought?" I asked, arms crossed. He blinked. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb, Jonah. You told a real estate agent you owned this place, that it was on the market." His face darkened. That was a misunderstanding. That was fraud. He started pacing. Come on, man. I just thought maybe if we sold it, split the money, we could both start over. We? There is no we. You conned me once. That was on you. But if you thought I was going to let you do it again? I shook my head. You're out. Tonight. He glared at me. You're really kicking your own brother out? You stopped being my brother when you made me homeless. He stared at me for a long moment, jaw clenched, then stormed off into the guest room. 20 minutes later, he came out with a duffel bag and slammed the front door behind him. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from a lawyer. Apparently, Jonah was suing me for emotional damages and claiming partial ownership of the house based on verbal agreements we'd supposedly made over the years. It was total garbage. But the legal system doesn't run on truth. It runs on paperwork. And Jonah had just enough lies and loopholes to make it messy. I had to hire a lawyer of my own, fork out more cash I didn't have. It dragged on for months. Motions, affidavits, depositions. He even showed up to court in a suit 2 sizes too big, acting like the victim. He manipulated me. He told the judge, took advantage of my financial instability. This house was always meant to be shared. My parents would have wanted it that way. I almost choked. The audacity was Olympic level. But I had receipts, literal ones, emails, texts, signed documents, proof of purchase, title transfer, bank statements. I laid it all out. My lawyer ripped his case apart. In the end, the judge dismissed the suit with prejudice, told Jonah he was lucky I wasn't countersuing for harassment or fraud. Outside the courthouse, Jonah tried to corner me. You think you've won? He hissed. You think you're better than me now? No, I said. I've always been better than you. You just didn't notice. He stood there, seething, as I walked away. I thought that was the final chapter. But karma had one more card to play. About 6 months after the lawsuit was thrown out, I got another visitor. Not Jonah. This time, it was Claire, his ex-wife. I hadn't seen her in years. She looked different now. Tired, but sharp-eyed, like someone who'd spent time learning the hard way who to trust. I hope it's not weird me showing up, she said, standing awkwardly on my porch. No, not at all, I said, ushering her in. She stepped inside, looked around the living room. You've done well with it. Thanks. I've tried to make it feel like home. She gave a sad smile. Jonah told me he tried to sue you. I nodded. Didn't work? I know. I testified against him. That made me pause. He didn't mention that. Claire shrugged. He burned too many bridges. I was just one of them. Turns out he tried to borrow against my name last year. Found out when I applied for a loan and got denied. He left a mess. I could believe that. She sat down and looked around again. I actually came here for a reason. I waited. She pulled out an envelope from her purse. I'm not here to start anything. This isn't from Jonah. It's from your dad. I frowned. My dad? She nodded. Before he passed, he wrote you a letter. Jonah found it but never gave it to you. I only found it last month, tucked away in a box of old files. I stared at it. My name was scrawled in Dad's blocky handwriting. When she left, I sat on the porch swing and opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a single page, yellowed and creased. Cal, if you're reading this, I'm probably gone. And if Jonah's still being Jonah, I hope you held your ground. I know I left things messy. I didn't always say what I meant or show the love I felt, especially not after your mom passed. But I want you to know something. That house, it's yours. I saw how hard you worked to fix it. You were always the one who showed up, who cared, who kept things together. Jonah, well, he's Jonah. He talks big, but you act. I never told you this, but I changed the will a year before I passed. I knew he'd try something. I'm proud of you, son. Dad. I sat there a long time, staring at those words. My chest felt heavy, but something inside me lightened too. I had always suspected my father saw me, even if he never said it. Now I knew. And Jonah, well, he'd lost more than just the house. He'd lost everything. Over the next year, word got around. He tried to hustle some other guys into an investment deal, scammed one too many, ended up getting jumped, landed in the hospital with a busted leg and a broken wrist. When he got out, no one would touch him, not for business, not even socially. He was blacklisted everywhere. Meanwhile, my real estate side gig took off. People loved the story behind the house. I posted before and after pics, told pieces of my story without naming names. It went viral. Suddenly, I had followers, a small business, a growing bank account. And then, one afternoon, I got a message from Claire. Jonah's working at a gas station now. Lives in a one-bedroom apartment over in Denton. Still blames you for everything. Just thought you'd want to know. I didn't respond. Didn't have to. I just walked through the house, touching the woodwork I'd sanded down myself. Smelled the fresh coffee brewing in the kitchen. Looked out over the backyard where I'd finally planted a lemon tree. I was home. Jonah had played the long con. But in the end, the house always wins. And this one? It chose me. If you felt that twist hit deep, you're not alone. Family betrayal cuts sharp, but revenge that comes wrapped in karma. That's the sweet part. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever been burned by someone close? Hit that like button if you think justice was served. Subscribe and tap the bell. Because every week on Payback and Consequence, we bring you real stories, big drama, and endings that hit just right. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the best revenge is letting the house do the talking.